This is my last video on this topic and then I'm done. So I realized what made me so upset about Jon Kabat-Zinn's take on mindfulness. So I read some criticisms on what mindfulness has become. They call it McMindfulness, in that even CEOs are taking mindfulness classes, but because of how it's geared, because it's Buddhism without the Buddhism, because it's mindfulness without empathy and compassion and caring. The thing is, bad people can still be bad people with his version of mindfulness. It does help with pain. It does help with stress. But it doesn't teach you to forgive yourself. It doesn't teach you to love yourself. And it's very hard to do that if you're reading his books. Because, so if you read a few pages of, what's it called? Everyday Blessings, where it's a parenting book and it talks about acceptance, accepting who your children are, and the sovereignty. They're free to become who they want to be. And then turning around and trying to read Full Catastrophe Living, and him saying that all these bad things about people with vices and people who are just doing whatever they can to cope, or have to take medication for mental health reasons, or, hey, drug addicts aren't evil. Drug addiction is a disease. There is an opioid epidemic in the United States. I have friends who've lost friends due to the opioid epidemic, and it's tragic. They're not awful people. You cannot blame someone with a disease for having the disease. It's like shaming someone with cancer. And it's just awful. And that's why I made these, because I'm getting whiplash. That's why I think Myla did a lot more than what is implied in the Everyday Blessings book. Because all these loving and caring messages about how you should treat your children is just not there in Full Catastrophe Living. It is completely absent and devoid of those things. It's like there's this one case of this person who had PTSD and didn't know it, and she was miserable her whole life. And a year before she died, she was really happy because she did these mindfulness exercises. And he's like, well, it's sad that she only got to, she was miserable her whole life. But at least for the last year, she was happy. And yeah, that is sad. And yeah, it's sad that she only got to be happy for a year of her life. But he uses it as an example of why his mindfulness therapy works. And that just kind of seems really cheap. And I'm not saying Buddhism doesn't have its faults. I mean, I love the Dalai Lama, but he did definitely say, if I got reincarnated as a woman, she better be pretty or else no one will listen to her. So it's not like every Buddhist person or even like the Dalai Lama doesn't have faults. But it is really disheartening when someone who's in charge of something that has helped so many people can be such an ass.